Here's the secret to success, hidden in plain sight, that most people miss. Act as if you are already blessed. Most people live their lives reacting to what they see. They react to how much money is in their bank account, to what other people think of them, to temporary feelings, setbacks, and outside problems. But the person who rises above everyone else, who gets great results, who attracts wealth, health, influence, and peace, is the one who doesn't wait to be blessed to act like they are. They decide, they assume, they declare that good things are coming before they even see them. And because they do this, they live in a way that makes it happen. You need to understand that your outside world always mirrors your inside state. The universe isn't moved by begging, it's moved by belief. And belief must be shown, not with empty words, but with consistent actions. If you believe you're already favored, already powerful, already connected to every resource you need, your body language changes, your habits change, your tone changes. You don't walk like someone asking for handouts. You walk like a king. Not arrogant, but balanced. Not boastful, but grounded. There's no one more dangerous to the way things are than the person who has decided they are already blessed and therefore must live like it. They wake up with purpose. They speak clearly. They carry themselves with a sense of calm and certainty. They don't wait to feel ready. They don't wait for applause. They don't wait for every light to turn green before they start moving. They know they are blessed and they act like it. And because they do, the world around them starts to work in their favor. You must learn to live from your vision, not just what you can see right now. Most people look at what they have and say, "This is who I am." But the winner looks at what they are becoming and says, "That is who I am right now." They don't shrink back because their current situation is small. They don't settle because others say, "Wait." They don't put off big actions because their current situation hasn't caught up with their imagination. They live in line with the future they are building, and that alignment makes things happen faster. Let me ask you, how would you behave if you knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that everything you needed was already coming your way? Would you still complain? Would you still hesitate? Would you still walk through life with your head down, questioning your worth, doubting your timing, envying others who seem to be further along? No, you would move like someone on mission. You would prepare the table before the food arrived. You would speak like someone with authority. You would choose your words, your friends, your time, and your standards differently. Because when you know you're blessed, you stop letting anything less than that blessing into your life. It's about taking control. Here's what I want you to understand. Acting blessed isn't about fooling yourself. It's about taking control. It's about recognizing that everything starts with what's in your mind. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your assumptions. They all carry a special energy that sends instructions to your life. When you act as if you're broke, confused, not good enough, or undeserving, you attract more of the very things that prove those beliefs. But when you act as if you're powerful, supported, valuable, and chosen, you shift into a new energy. And your actions, repeated over time, create a powerful pull around your life. Faith isn't just an idea, it's a force. And faith must be shown through actions that match your beliefs. Someone might say they have faith, but they never prepare, never study, never put effort into their dream. That's not faith, it's just wishing. Faith says, I will prepare because the opportunity is coming. I will get ready because good things are on their way. I will improve my skills because doors are opening for me. And because that person lives in readiness, they become trustworthy not just to others, but to the rules of the universe. Every time you act like you're already blessed, you send a signal to the world that you are ready. And that signal matters more than your words. Many people say, I'm ready, but their habits say, I'm not. Their energy says, I'm afraid. Their preparation says, I don't believe it's coming. And so it doesn't. not because they weren't worthy, but because they weren't in alignment. You must decide what level of life you believe you are meant for, and then act like you already belong there. Don't wait for the world to approve your vision. Don't wait for applause to confirm your purpose. Start building. Start walking. Start investing. Start training. Start dressing like it, speaking like it, walking like it. When you act blessed, you prove that you can be trusted with the blessing. And the universe always rewards trust. I remember what it felt like to start with nothing, to look around and see no sign that my dream was possible. But I also remember what it felt like to ignore that lack and move anyway. I acted like I was meant for great things before great things ever happened. I wrote like my books would change nations long before anyone read them. I studied like the stage were already mine. I built my character, my focus, my self-discipline, not because I was already successful, but because I expected to be. That expectation became a magnet. That magnetism attracted people, opportunities, favor, and opened doors that were invisible to the person I used to be. So I say this to you urgently. You are not waiting on your blessing. Your blessing is waiting on you. It's waiting for you to rise, to change, to clear your mind of fear, to organize your life as if you expect success. Because until you do, the blessing cannot land. A plane doesn't land on a messy runway, and good fortune doesn't land in a life that's out of alignment. You've been praying for next-level results, but have you become a next-level person? Have you organized your habits? Have you improved your environment? Have you controlled what you say? Have you surrounded yourself with vision, clarity, structure, and focus? Or are you still acting like the version of yourself who is okay with less? This isn't about arrogance. It's about being ready. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle the weight of what they say they want. And let me tell you something. The moment you start acting like it's already yours, everything begins to change. You stop explaining yourself. You stop shrinking. You stop second-guessing. You stop putting up with small distractions. Because you understand that your time is valuable, your name is valuable, and your presence is valuable. And that understanding changes the whole atmosphere around you. Others might not see it yet, and that's okay. You don't need them to. You're not acting for their applause. You are aligning with your purpose. And when you do that consistently, they will have no choice but to see, because results can't be ignored. And results follow those who act blessed before they feel it. The secret, holding the vibration of success. You must hold the feeling of the outcome before it arrives. That's the secret. When others worry, you worship or focus on gratitude. When others panic, you plan. When others fear, you focus. Because you already know. You don't need proof. You have principle. You don't need confirmation. You have conviction. You don't need applause. You have alignment. This is the key that unlocks everything. Act as if you're already blessed, and watch how fast the world catches up. If you truly understood the power of acting as if you're already blessed, you would never again wait for approval from the world. You would realize that every outward result is just an echo of an inner decision. You would see that the results you're chasing aren't found in effort alone, but in embodying them. Embodiment means you become it before you receive it. You carry the confidence, the discipline, the energy, and the feeling of the future you have decided belongs to you. That future isn't a fantasy, it's a seed. And seeds don't grow just because you stare at them. They grow because you act like they're already becoming trees. You can't wait to feel like a winner to behave like one. You must behave like one to become one. The rule is simple. Act like the person who already has what you want. How does he think? How does he walk? What does he let into his mind? What does he put up with? What does he get rid of? What does he protect? What does he invest in? When you start answering those questions clearly, you stop acting from your past and you start acting from your destiny. The person who believes he's already blessed stops allowing desperate energy. He's not chasing. He's not begging. He's not struggling from a place of lack. He's building from a place of abundance. And because of that, his actions carry power, his words carry weight, his boundaries become clear, and his vision becomes magnetic. He doesn't just hope to be successful. He walks with the assumption of success, and that assumption changes everything. So many people are waiting for the blessing to behave differently, but that's backwards. That's like saying, I'll lift my hands when I feel strong, not realizing that lifting is what builds the strength. You don't become better by waiting. You become better by acting like you're already better, even when no one else sees it, even when your situation hasn't changed yet, even when there's no applause and the road looks lonely. Because that's when your character is formed, and character is the foundation of every lasting reward. Ask anyone who has built anything valuable, and they'll tell you the belief came first. They saw it inside before it showed up outside. They adjusted their actions long before their audience grew. They showed up in small rooms like they were huge arenas. They built with excellence when no one was watching. They made decisions from their future, not from their fear. That's the person who becomes a magnet for blessings, not because they're chasing blessings, but because they're aligned with the feeling of them. You cannot hold what you are not prepared for. That's why so many people miss their moment. The door opens, but they haven't become the version of themselves that can walk through it with certainty. They prayed for the opportunity, but they never changed their mindset. They dreamed of the platform, but they never prepared their thinking. And when the opportunity arrived, they looked like the same person who was still begging, not the person who had been building. This is why preparation must come from who you are becoming, not from what you see. You don't wait for the promotion to act like a leader. You lead now. You don't wait for a breakthrough to act like a person of peace. You ground yourself now. You don't wait for a relationship to show up to act like a healed and whole person. You become that person now. Because everything you desire is attracted to who you are, not what you wish for. Becoming the master of command. When you act as if you're already blessed, you no longer waste energy explaining yourself. You stop arguing with doubt. You stop giving time to fear. You protect your vision with intense focus. You guard your mind with precision. You improve your conversations, your environment, your standards of behavior. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you've decided who you are. The moment you shift from hoping to embodying, you enter a new way of living. You stop chasing alignment and start creating it. You become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You set the mood. You change the room. You carry an energy that others can feel, not because you're performing, but because you're positioned. Blessing isn't something outside of you. It's something you activate from within. That activation happens the moment you choose to act as if you've already won, as if the contract is already signed, as if the room is already prepared for you, as if the blessing already belongs to you. And in that mindset, you behave differently. You stop showing up timidly. You stop shrinking to fit in. You stop letting other people's doubts infect your decision-making. The reason most people never see their full potential is that they are still trying to qualify themselves for a table they've already been invited to. But I'm telling you, the moment you stop asking, "Do I belong here?" and start becoming the person who owns the table, everything begins to change. The conversations change. The opportunities change. The energy you attract changes. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You have to understand something about the rules of faith and success. They don't respond to need. They respond to alignment. The person who waits to be chosen never leads. The person who waits to be discovered never takes charge. The person who waits to feel ready never moves. But the person who acts from the assumption of their blessing, he walks with clarity. He speaks with direction. He multiplies what he has. And because of that, more is given to him. I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about pretending. I'm talking about replacing showing off with presence. The kind of presence that says, I don't need to struggle. I've already received. That's the power of acting as if you're already blessed. You don't have to beg for what belongs to you. You simply prepare for its arrival. And that preparation becomes the proof of your belief. Let me be very clear. If you believe your future is secure, you stop behaving like someone in survival mode. You stop reacting to every problem. You stop wasting your time on petty fights. You stop panicking when things look uncertain, because your actions are rooted in an inner certainty that overrides outer conditions. That's what acting blessed means. It's not about what you feel, it's about what you decide. You decide to walk like the answer is already on the way. You decide to prepare like the invitation has already been sent. You decide to speak like the world is listening. You decide to build like the foundation is firm. And in doing so, you become the person who attracts more, not because he needs it, but because he's ready to multiply it. Stop waiting to be rescued. Stop waiting to be discovered. Stop waiting for permission to live like a blessed person. Permission has already been granted. You're not waiting on a higher power. A higher power is waiting on you to align, to move, to rise, to live like it's already done. When you act as if you're already blessed, you stop playing defense. You go on offense. You don't walk into a room looking to be chosen. You walk in choosing yourself. And that, my friend, is where all momentum begins. There is no force more powerful than a person who has decided to live as if their future has already arrived. Not someone who pretends, not someone who performs, but someone who has accepted their calling, embodied their purpose, and aligned their habits with a future version of themselves that they are becoming. That person is no longer moved by emotion, no longer trapped in cycles of doubt, and no longer swayed by what others say. Why? Because he already knows who he is. He's not waiting to be crowned by applause. He's already wearing the crown of identity. When you begin to act as if you're already blessed, you leave the realm of reaction and enter the realm of creation. You are no longer a servant of circumstances. You become a master of command. You speak life and create momentum. You speak vision, and the atmosphere around you responds. The world is shaped not by those who wait for ideal conditions, but by those who carry ideal convictions. Every day, you move with the energy of your answered prayer. You build the groundwork for it to happen. You no longer hope it's done. You no longer question if it's yours. And from that inner certainty, you build differently. You don't build halfway. You don't delay excellence. You don't negotiate with distractions. You walk like the doors are already opening because you are too focused on preparing for what is coming to notice who isn't clapping yet. This is how the most powerful people in history operated. They moved on in belief long before belief became popular. They saw what others could not see, and they lived as if it were already true. They didn't need everyone to agree. They only needed alignment with their mission. And because they embodied that belief, they attracted favor, influence, partnerships, and opportunities that would never have shown up for the person who sat still waiting for the outside to change before they moved. Let me say it plainly. Your outside world will never change if your inside mindset remains low. You cannot keep speaking of defeat and expect victory. You cannot keep walking like a servant and expect to receive the inheritance of a king. You must carry the energy of completion, of wholeness, of strength, of gratitude now, not later. You don't wait to feel blessed to live blessed. You live blessed to feel blessed. If you've ever felt stuck, like you're waiting, like you're just one breakthrough away from becoming who you were meant to be, let me ask you this. Have you become the kind of person who can handle what you're asking for? Have you expanded your thinking? Have you improved your surroundings? Have you forgiven your past? Have you let go of the victim's story? Have you made space in your calendar, your emotions, and your finances for the new version of you to arrive. You can't ask for the next level and still live like the last one. You can't pray for more while thinking and acting like less. You can't expect an abundance while clinging to scarcity with your thoughts, your words, your self-image. Blessing is not random. It is received by those who prepare with precision. That's why the command is simple but powerful. Act as if you're already blessed every day. Even on the days it feels like the blessing is far away. Even on the days when resistance is louder than reassurance. That's when your character is formed. That's when the testing happens. That's when the foundations are laid. The person who rises isn't the one who avoids hardship. He's the one who meets hardship with the mindset of someone who already knows the outcome. He says, I may not see it yet, but it's on its way. He builds. He plants. He protects his ground. He doesn't waste time complaining or comparing because he's too busy watering the vision. And the water is your faith in motion. Every excellent action is water. Every moment of discipline is water. Every time you invest in your future instead of spending on your feelings, that's water. And soon, the harvest comes and people will say you were lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. You aligned. You prepared. You held the feeling. You stayed faithful to what was unseen. You built what no one else was building because you saw what no one else saw. And you acted as if it were already real. That is how a legacy is written. That is how the blessed live. And when you live this way long enough, something beautiful happens. You no longer need the blessing to arrive to feel fulfilled. You're already fulfilled by the person you become along the way. That's the paradox of acting blessed. It not only changes your results, it changes you. It reveals your power. It rewrites your patterns. It dissolves fear and creates spiritual certainty. You're no longer struggling. You've shifted into a natural flow. You don't push, you attract. You don't strive, you align. You don't beg, you breathe and build and become. And all of this begins with one shift. To live as if, to lead as if, to love as if, to plan as if, to speak as if, to move as if. Even when it's quiet, even when you're tired, even when nothing on the outside looks different. Yet, you act as if because you know, you've made your decision. You've chosen your identity. You've rejected the limitations of your past. And now the life that once felt far away is catching up to you. You're no longer a person who needs approval. You're no longer a person seeking to prove yourself. You're no longer a person hoping someone picks you. You have picked yourself. You have claimed the blessing, and your life now reflects that decision. This is the life of alignment. This is the posture of greatness. This is the energy of the person who will change everything. Not because he chased results, but because he became the person who attracts them. Now go walk it out. Build it brick by brick. Speak it breath by breath. Live it every moment. Not someday. Today. You are not waiting to be blessed. You are already blessed. Now act like it.